also how do we flexibilize the capacity utilization. Hexaconazole is more or less around the full capacity utilization.
Okay, thank you very much. And Mr. Shukla, welcome aboard and wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Somaya V from Avendus Spark. Please go ahead.
First question is on the domestic market, sir. From a pricing standpoint, so we've seen decline last year. So, do you think that we are almost bottoming out there and then we do expect price increase for the rest of the year? Or what is the status there in the domestic pricing?
If you're referring about crop protection, I would say, look, from a very, unfavorable weather for last 6 months in the country, which has led to certain inventory buildup. And the next consumption cycle of crop protection, the big one, really starts after the rains. So I think still there's a pressure on the market. As I said, when question was asked by Ramesh, that things are looking positive from seed offtake perspective, but then it has to translate into a good crop later on.
Understood, sir. The second on the pendimethalin capacity that you are referring to, you were referring to increase by end of FY25 some capacity additions. So what is the capacity addition quantum here, and what will be the end of FY25? If you can give the capacity in total for Pendi and the metribuzin could be helpful by end of FY25.
So we have anyway put it in the communication as well. So pendimethalin is where we are looking at capacity expansion, and it should go in the vicinity of around 7,000 tons. Metribuzin is we are not looking at any capacity expansion. Metribuzin is the current capacity, which is around 3,000 tons.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ravi Purohit from Securities Investment Management Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good morning. This is a question for Mr. Shukla. Sir, you've been part of Myco Monsanto for a very long period of time. And I think our new independent director, Mr. D. Narayan, also has been part of the Monsanto group and Bayer Crop Sciences subsequently for a longer period of time. So we have two very strong, experienced people who have joined Rallis, one as an independent director and one as a managing director. And especially, the two most successful seed brands also, right? Dekalb and, BT Cotton. So if you could just share your own vision for Rallis India now that you've joined here as an MD for the next, 5 years. Do you have any vision in your mind as to what are the things that you would like, where would you like Rallis to be in 3 years or 5 years from now? And what are the segments which you think could lead that, growth for the company? Does seeds have that kind of potential? Today we are only about 300-400 crores in revenue terms, whereas the market itself is like very, very large compared to that. So if you could just, spend some time and just share a vision with all the, listeners today, it will be helpful for us to kind of, see this forward.
Yeah. Thank you for asking a question on around the strategy. Thank you very much, for that question. The two things I would say, look, if you look Rallis as a company, I think we have a very strong parentage and our brand is very strong, and we have done a good job of enhancing our manufacturing capabilities. There has been also some work done on improving the quality of the seed research. We have a very extensive distribution network, and I think the important thing is from here on how we direct some of the resources towards R&D. I think our R&D capability need to be further enhanced because the both businesses we are in, our ability to launch new product and scale them fast will actually define because it's a very competitive segment. There's no dearth of player and everybody's trying to do same thing. It depends who does things faster and better. I think speed matters. So and our ability to really innovate faster. So focus is going to be shifting more towards how effectively we connect with our customers. So how do we deepen our relationship with the customers and how fast we basically bring the new product because we get those two things right. I think our ability to launch big and then scale up the volume will significantly enhance. So if you say focus is really R&D and customer connect as we move forward.
Okay. Okay. And sir, if we could also kind of, share a little bit about our strategy on CRAMS and, some of the products that we've, mentioned in the last quarter that we started for one intermediate, one formulation, and there was also one product which we had started supplying, after a long period of time. Right. So generally, what kind of scale-up can we see in this segment of the business over a longer period of time? What kind of potential does it hold? We've been working at it for a long period of time, so when do we actually see the fruits of all the investments and all the time and effort that has been put out in this, this business? Thanks.
Yeah. So, difficult to predict the timeline, but, this CRAMS business primarily depends on our efficiency, our ability to deliver efficiency to the customer. So that aspect, certainly we are critically looking at it. Another thing is really developing our relationship with the potential customer. I guess a lot of these customers, as part of, I would say, China Plus One strategy also, would be attracted to India. It's a question of who gets them first. I think we have good capacity, good credentials backed by, our group parentage. I think we're the right candidate for those customers. We have to it's not a rocket science. I think we have to reach out to more customers and demonstrate them our capabilities and, develop some long-term relationship to make that business successful. So that's all I would say from a strategy perspective.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit Nagraj from Centrum Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. So first question, again, slightly delving on the new project, Rallis Science and Technology Center. So, what could be different from what we have been doing till now? And given that R&D will be a relatively high gestation period, project or segment, when do we see any fruitful outcome of these, given that, it may take 2 years, 3 years down the line to actually come out with new technologies or so? And just if you can give us where we are currently lacking in terms of technology or R&D capabilities, and which are the areas which we want to strengthen, whether it is the new molecule development ourselves or the molecules which are currently going off patent, so we would like to enter into those areas. Just a little bit more would be really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. So, look, one thing is very, very important to understand. Rallis is doing R&D, right? So we have been investing in the R&D and significantly enough. Now we are developing a new center because we want to move to a better center which has a better working environment, for the potential scientists and technical people will be working there. So the R&D investment from that perspective is more directed at improving infrastructure. Now, from a focus perspective, as we said, if you look at crop protection side, I think one of the areas probably we have not invested in the past is, some of the new chemistries which have come up on the fluorination and all. So that's where our focus is going to be. On the seed side, I guess, we were focusing on seed research, biotech and everything else, but there is a lot of attention shifting globally to leveraging more modern breeding tools like genomics, phenomics, those kind of tools. So we are going to reorient our R&D to more modern tools because that brings more a better product, and it also reduces the time needed for the innovation. So that's how we are going. I think at the end of the day, in R&D, infrastructure is part of the thing, but the kind of people you get in the kind of direction they get and what kind of tool we can provide. So our focus is really more people and tools enabled R&D. Building is just a part of it.
Sure. Thanks. That's helpful. The second question is in terms of the current environment, in terms of the pricing has more or less bottomed out. However, you also mentioned that there have been inventories in the system, both in domestic market as well as global market. So even if we assume that the rainfall is normal and it leads to volume growth, Is there any possibility that since last year average pricing was relatively higher, and given that we are at the bottom of the pricing, it may not get reflected in strong revenue growth despite a strong volume growth led by monsoon during the next Kharif season? Your perspective. Thank you.
So you're right. I guess market is generally carrying a little high cost inventory, and market price realization may not be same. But I guess the situation we are entering is better than what we were in. We have to be optimistic and we have to work towards it.
And yes, you're right that the anniversary of pricing will take some time, but I think we should look at more effort and whether we are able to ensure that the price versus cost is correct. So there could be a temporary, maybe in one quarter, an impact because of the price anniversarizing.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Arjun Khanna from Kotak Mahindra Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. So, the first question was regarding the fertilizer piece. I do see our slide number 6, where we have talked about water-soluble fertilizers, etc. Just wanted to understand, are we looking at nano urea, nano DAP? Is there any R&D going on that front?
So, you already know that we are not in the bulk fertilizer, and nano urea also basically is part of the same segment. We are not looking at that segment as of now.
Sure. And there's no R&D efforts going on that front?
So our R&D and collaboration efforts are more directed towards crop nutrition, what we call, which are more specialty products,
biostimulants, biopesticides.
Exactly. That help in unlocking some of the locked nutrition in the soil.
No, fair enough. It's just that there's a line in the presentation, complete focus on non-subsidized fertilizers. So I figured that since the nano side is non-subsidized. Anyway, fair enough. The second query is regarding if we are parentage. So you did mention strong parentage on Tata Group, and that is held through Tata Chemicals, which has also recently increased stake. So are there any linkages in terms of our R&D efforts, etc., with their spec chem facilities, and how do we look at our relationship with our parent Tata Chemicals?
I think across the companies, our relationship remain very strong. We always keep looking at synergies, and as and when needed, obviously, we look at the capabilities they have got, and we're always, we would never get into a situation where different companies are creating the same capacities. We would internally leverage whatever we have.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhijit Akella from Kotak Institutional Equities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the follow-up. The seeds inventory situation as of, in our books, I'm saying, the inventory that we are carrying for the upcoming year, will it be possible to just quantify how much that is up by on a year-on-year basis?
You were talking about seeds, Abhijit?
Yeah. So basically the seed inventories that we've, got ready for sales in the upcoming Kharif season, if it's possible to just quantify how much that might be up year-over-year.
So it's actually down, Abhijit, for the reasons that you mentioned. There are two reasons actually. First, we liquidated some of the old inventory. So we actually took a call in terms of winding down or become more focused in terms of inventory procurement for the hybrids which were low in terms of offtake. And secondly, as we mentioned, that there were production challenges in terms of some of the crops, especially paddy, etc. So the inventory levels are actually lower than last year.
Got it. Thank you. And just the other one was, there was a mention earlier on in the call regarding an increase in advance bookings in the seed business. So if it's possible to share some color around which crop this is on, is it mainly on cotton? And if so, how much will be the increase in bookings year-over-year?
In general, because industry, I think trade probably understands that inventory is going to be in short supply because it's just not our problem. In general, productions have been lower because of the water and rainfall challenges in the seed production areas. So it's channel's way of trying to secure supplies for them.
It's significantly higher than last year, Abhijit, and it's also driven by buoyancy towards the cotton hybrid demand that we have.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from the line of Viraj from SIMPL. Please go ahead.
Yeah, three questions. First is on a follow-up on the gross margin. If you look at last 1 year itself, and you look at the way RM has behaved, a lot of other B2C companies have seen a sizable expansion in gross margin. So for us, when we say the RM has held, but when we see the overall reported numbers, the expansion has not been to that extent. So what has been the drag, or what factors you think have dragged the expansion in gross margin? And just a part two on that is, for us to kind of, if you look at the overall balance sheet, which we have, we're on a net cash basis, and given the way the RM prices are now behaving, stable, are we kind of looking at maximizing the spreads, at least in the domestic B2C business, in terms of, say, buying out inventory in bulk? Is that one of the things we may be looking at going into 2025? So that is one. Second is on the overall financials. If you look at 24 as a whole, we have something close to 19-20 crores in terms of, say, provision for doubtful debts and, impairments on intangibles. So is this what a sustainable run rate one should expect going forward, or, there were some one-offs in 24 as well?
So in terms of gross margin, the pure play B2C players might have had, but I think what we do is we balance out long term and short term. So we will not significantly increase the pricing if that's not competitive. Plus, of course, there's a dent in the margin which has come because of our international business, because the margins for crop care as a whole, while the domestic formulations have done better, and I mentioned that the gross margins have improved there, but in exports, because of the intense competitive intensity, the margins are lower. I think your the other question was around one-off.
Sorry, procurement. Yeah, we do revenue by strategic, what we call strategic procurement, in order to take advantage of what we think is the pricing outlook for different raw materials. But that's a normal thing that we have been doing over the last few years. So
but we will not take any very long calls.
We don't take
long
calls,
and
we take very calibrated and careful calls.
We not take long calls because it's difficult to predict whether it's still the bottom out or not, and I think it's important to be in the market, I would say be with the market rather than play long calls. The last one in terms of provisions, yes, there could be some provisions which would have come because the receivables have gone up, but nothing specific to be called out in terms of any one-off.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rahil Shah from Crown Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes, hi, good morning. Firstly, I believe you mentioned about some capacity expansion. I just missed for which line of product was it? I think you mentioned something 7,000 tons by end of FY25. Can you please just repeat to me?
Pendimethalin. It's for pendimethalin.
What's that?
Pendimethalin. It is for pendimethalin. Yeah.
Okay. And what are your strategies for CRAMS? I believe you also spoke something about development there. So what are your strategies there? And now overall for FY25, what can one expect going ahead in terms of overall business growth, considering the pricing improvement you are seeing, the rainy season expected ahead, and the R&D strategies that will be adopting given the new facility and the expansion. So please, if you can just elaborate on that. Thank you.
Well, so as I said earlier, I don't think we are putting a number at this point of time. These are all positive signs. We are coming out of a very difficult season. So we are calibrating, those things. Not in a position to give you guidance on the numbers.
And CRAMS strategy is certainly to get new contracts, to get new meaningful contracts, and all work is being done towards it.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nirbhay Mahavar from N Square Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So just a follow-up on the seed business. We have achieved roughly around 415 crore size, and still our margins are around 4%, which is significantly lower than the industry standards. So how do you see it changing over the next 2-3 years, and why our margins are significantly lower than the industry?
For the when you look at the performance for FY24, I think we should take into account that we did have some hybrids which we were aggressively getting rid of because we did not want them to later on come back and bite us. So therefore, I think this is something which has impacted the overall margin levels. As we go forward, I think the margins will have to clearly depend on the point that Dr. Shukla mentioned about differentiated hybrids coming out of good germplasm and coming out of our R&D efforts. So that is really the way forward for us to improve our both the business side as well as the margins.
Again, this is a very generalistic answer. I'm trying to get specific over a period of last 3, 4, 5 years. If you look at our margins have been significantly lower. If you look at the listed competitor with 1,000 crore size is operating at 27-28% margins. Our margins are low teens or at times we are barely breaking even. So what are we doing wrong in terms of we have got startup parentage, we have got a solid research team, but still we are not able to crack this business. And we have been very evasive over the last 3, 4, 5 years about this business.
Oh, so I think seed is one business where product performance depends a lot, right? And seed is one business. If you get a blockbuster product, you can scale up disproportionately your business. And if you don't have if you don't get a blockbuster product, then you stay where you are. I think in past, not that we have not been putting research, our research have not yielded products which could be significantly differentiated from a volume scale-up perspective. Now, so what happens in this kind of businesses, you have to continue to invest in R&D and continue to have your presence in the market, and it has a cost. Depending on your portfolio, some spread is needed. So margin expansion happens when you get a good product and you can sell to more customers in a concentrated market. And that's where I was emphasizing that, look, our R&D efforts need to get refocused so that we were operating in 4 or 5 critical crops. If we start getting on a regular basis some differentiated product, that will allow us to significantly ramp up the revenue, and then margins can expand. There's a basic cost one has to keep investing in the seed business and continue to improve R&D, and then you have to wait for your time.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohan Shukla from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
So I just want to know about how much does the export contribute to our top line now, and what does it look like in the next few quarters going ahead?
So it's in the vicinity of 35 to 40%, 35%, I would say. And this is because the numbers are this year we have seen a degrowth, but we are working towards how do we achieve the longer term strategy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take that as the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for their closing comments. Over to you.
Thank you. So I really want to thank everyone for asking the questions. With that, we can conclude. Thank you very much for your time. Look forward to interactions in the future.
Thank you, members of the management. On behalf of Rallis India Limited, that concludes this conference. We thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.